sure that you comply 75% of the time. The merah one tak comply, the green one tak comply. This was suddenly happened somewhere in November 2015. As you can see, 2/3 of them don't comply, only 1/3. And as you can see, auto mana satu Oh, there. Alright. Well, it's one satu lagi. There. Alright. One of the back of the so you faham lah. So you can understand why I'm very upset about this. Alright. So remember what I've done, isn't it? A lot of threatening letters, a lot of retraining, a lot of persuasion. Now we actually come out to in January that half of it, and you can see from 8U, right, move all the way from there, suddenly end up somewhere here, you know. So 9U, is it? Mana ni? There. One of the highest compliance rate. So you can do it, guys. It's not. It's just a matter of habit, okay. And of course, I got very upset now because one of it is hand hygiene, doctor punya hand hygiene inside the 9U ward. 25% only comply. So after I threatened the master student, I kata I'll actually kick them out and stop them from coming to the ward, and therefore have you transferred to UKM. Suddenly become 90%. Ayo, susah lah working in hospital. So you can do it. There's no problem with it. Suddenly 90%. So it's actually quite difficult, and of course the nurses also need a bit of push, but it can be done. All right. So going back, based on 25, this is a rough estimate of what we actually belanja and whatnot. So our challenge as a government, semi-government hospital, or whatever you call it, okay, which we actually under Ministry of Higher Education, is that we get assistance about 437 million roughly. Okay, we get about 437 million. We had additional MOFI grants, about 22 millions for pembangunan and all that. But from our own patients, we actually need to collect about 68 million, you know, okay. And all in all, that comes to a budget allocated roughly about 527 million. But to be honest, your actual needs is 647. There's always deficit, always somewhere. So it becomes my job every year to look for 120 million, 20 million for Prof. Kwan's spine table. Apa nama? Kumar wants to do II. All that has to come from somewhere. So every year, all this money actually comes in. So myself, Nazira, and a few others have to crack our heads to go and find out how else to make money from a hospital we cannot charge. This is one of it. Of course, this building is not going to. We've got nicer looking one, isn't it? The newest design is much better. After we've still architect is to look at probably at a hospital which actually cater not just for clinical services but for support services. In this case, we're talking at what you call it, a banquet hall, a symposium area, or maybe run all the conferences over here so that we can earn money for the hospital. The other one is looking at businesses and whatnot to actually generate income, right? Medical legal issues is another issue that we face. In 2005, maybe on average about 3 cases actually being filed every year. Now we have 9 actually. Medical legal actually end up in the court for considerations. Main problem is, whilst the doctors are very good, they tend to forget that they are practicing with a new age, new generation. They are still practicing how they practiced in the 1990s. 1990s, you can get away with a lot of things. Patients are a lot more forgiving. Putting a nice word, they're more forgiving. I've already taught you guys, isn't it? Masters guys, okay, I told you. In today's day and age, you need to be very, very careful, okay? Those were the days that you only need chaperones. For example, you only need chaperones for all ladies only, right? If you don't have, if your man, a male doctor examining a patient, a lady patient, you then need a chaperone. If you're just a male doctor, examining a male patient, you don't need a chaperone. In today's issue, you probably need a chaperone for all cases, male or female. And if you think you're a female doctor who is examining a male patient, you don't need a chaperone thing again. Okay, because I had to go and do 2 cases of so-called doctor having sexual assault, female doctor sexually assaulting male patients. Okay, so things have changed. So the practices have changed for what we've been taught in 90s. Yeah. Smile, okay. Okay, and times have changed, all right? So we need to go and change our paradigm of thinking, the way we train. Problem is also I have very, very, very senior consultants who are, orang kata apa, what's the saying? You cannot teach all dog new tricks, and that's my problem because they refuse to accept things which are happening today. Okay, just like that's why we're looking into our training program, isn't it? Because things have changed over the years. Things have changed. They are no more what we're looking at before. And this lebih kurang attitude is one of the problem that I have in hospital. We cannot have lebih kurang attitude. It has to be followed by strict principles, because all of this leads to medical legal. So in the future, okay, we always look at ideas, okay. For example, the outpatient clinics, how to alleviate your parking issues, and some of it is looking into the whole idea. This is one of our ideas I'm just putting aside. So by the time some of you go off, come back, you may see a new building coming up, you know. So this one is a trauma center, you know, where you're going to pass by in front, there is where you have the drape off in Ruka. That area is going to be closed off, and we're going to propose a new plaza so that the flow of traffic passes through here. Hopefully, with the budget coming in and fighting like mad, hopefully we can have an outpatient department which is a big, so that all the outpatients will go there. And this area has already been allocated for parking. So for the next time you come, you probably have to park outside the hospital, wait for a bus and come in, you know, because on this side. So we're putting all the parking outside, no more congestion over this side, okay? So the new plaza also has to incorporate something like this, so that the taxis also stay outside here, and you know, the plaza comes out here, so that you will have a link between the whole hospital. Now the whole thing has become a new city, okay? But again, looking at how it's designed, we have to look at the idea of connectivity in the future and how this is going to serve the new way for the public, okay? So the bus stand will be on the other side, this will be the taxi stands, okay? Obviously, I'm also very business-minded now. I've never been a businessman, but eventually that building also will house all these things, which will generate somewhere around, I think, 12 million a year in income alone, okay? But the most difficult job, I have to say, like, it's not the planning, it's not the money also. Money is terrible, I know, but it's not as bad. My biggest problem is dealing with people. With 11,500 people to remember and deal, this is my biggest problem. And this is just an example. You can see Prof. Nazira here, there were heated arguments here and there were always issue and all that sort of thing. So you can see everybody very serious, every issue. Then of course we can see Prof. Vivek there also, okay, trying to go and console. And sometimes Prof. Vivek always, before this, kadang-kadang ponting tak datang tau. Tapi the problem is now he knows that it's very important he comes, because all the issues semua hentam, semua orthopedic bila dia tak ada. So every time now he makes sure he comes also for this meeting, right? So it's very interesting to see the dynamics of people, hate the departments, loggerheads, and most of the time I look at people like really warlord, you know. So I grew up as a generation with RPG. You guys know what RPG stands for? Are you of the same generation? RPG. Don't play games, sorry? Oh yo, if I ask Suhaib and he answers me rocket propelled grenade, I understand. In fact, Dr. Suhaib, one time I said, you know, we have to make sure that people don't remove our AEDs. He said, hey, who's installing all these explosives? I said, what explosives? So, no, you said just not IEDs. I said, not IEDs, AEDs. Emergency defibrillators. He thought it's IED. Improvised explosive devices. Okay, so if you say RPG, rocket propelled grenade, I think you've been sticking around with Dr. Suhaib a bit too long, okay? Okay, but seriously, the RPGs, you know, the role-playing games, the computer games and all that. So, every time I see their faces, I always think like mind game, like, you know, all these faces. Okay, so how to fight. So, I see myself as a different role. Either I can become like this Prime Minister for Ireland, be nice, nice to everybody, or Barack Obama, you know, make sure world leaders. But I see myself as a different person. This is me, sitting down. Okay, coming down and to be honest, bila karang, wow, coming out, you dare come in, and then something goes wrong, then comes out and come blazing out, shooting people. So I've been known to be like this, but in nature I'm not that kind of person. Apparently this is the only way sometimes you have to go and deal with matters. So it's not so nice, but after a while you get tired about it. So what do we get at the end of the day? For me, I'm not sure. I hope you get a very good hospital, to be honest. We hope that we've always been a very good hospital. In fact, today I still consider PPM to be the best hospital, best ratio numbers, although we don't have enough budgeting. Our care, I think you would agree, it's almost equivalent to a private hospital. It's just that the doctors have to change their attitude to work like a private doctor. For some reason, I find very odd. You know, they move to UMSC and suddenly they become very private, you know, very caring patient. So public hospital side, so all that practices in UMSC semua lain. Okay, so I think there is a paradigm shift that we have to work towards okay. And here I am, for me I get to go for all these parties with all these old folks, you see. So this is soaring outwards. This is our Ministry of Higher Education punya motto, soaring outwards. So minister say soaring outwards. Okay lah, soaring outwards lah. Okay, alright. And I get to give speeches and lectures and opening ceremonies of all kind of places. Okay. And of course, I get to see all these nice people giving out hadiah to me for one time or the other for giving lectures and speeches. Alright. And you go around having to go and see new things, and I have no idea what I'm looking at. So this is at ophthalmology conference, and here I am with Zuraida from psychiatry telling me about this and that, and then after that she goes a bit more academic and talk about all these serotonin receptors in the brain. I say, yelah, okay, okay, alright. But this is what I get for all day. Sometimes we get a lot of things like this. Is our previous director, and sometimes we get to get free makan. The problem with this job is sit down, gaduh-gaduh, become warlord. At the same time, you don't have enough exercise, makan. So it's actually a very hazardous job, you know. So most of you have to walk very far. Don't complain, you know. It's actually quite good for you. You get exercise, okay. And then of course we have teamwork, and I'm actually quite happy to say that at least with this job I get to meet a lot of people. That I think that is something I think you get to meet nice people. You get to meet bad people, but generally most people are good people. Okay, you get to meet bad people, but generally I would say they actually have a very noble intention. And of course, when I go back, I get to meet all my old teachers. They were our visit in UKM, and this is Prof. Zaliha, who is now the new director. She used to teach me, and she remembers me very well. And they were all telling me, oh, they're very happy. Why? Oh, because actually a UKM grad actually ended up becoming one of the top management in UM, which is not very common. So I said, oh, very happy. I said, okay lah, all right, okay. But this was very interesting. So in order to do that, we actually have all these exercises. So Prof. Nazira has yet to go and come more often, but most of the top management is already going for exercises every Tuesday and Friday. So I think the nurses know that we have our own program, and we hope that everybody actually try to attend most of our BFIT program. And there's no more sugar being served in hospital. I still got, try to find. Then I can see my secretary bunyi gula. I say every time I come for meeting tak ada gula. Then just about I leave, I see one box of gula come up because the rest of them cannot drink the tea or coffee. But generally, our policy, we try to make sure that people stay healthy. So the last slide, okay, no more. The conclusion of this is running a hospital for me is a massive and difficult job. And to be honest, if you don't like it, you won't like it. So for me, I would like to do what is actually benefiting. And is it worth it? I would say yes, because at the end of the day, if I run the department, department gets to benefit. If I run the hospital, 11,500 people get to benefit. Okay. And to be honest, I don't particularly want the job, but at this point in time, I'm running the job to make sure that it works. Okay. And it's the same question as why do we stay, in the institution to actually provide, like Prof. Sarah, Prof. Asa, we've been here for years. Prof. Saw, I still have his old pictures since he's actually graduate as not a master student, as a medical student, okay, inside his file. So why do we stay? So it's a question of moral, ethical, and conscience. Okay, so I suppose to each his own. Okay, thank you very much. That's it from me.
Thank you very much, Prof. Kamal, for the inspiring speech, and I think you are running the hospital very well. So I would like to invite Prof. Sarah to give a token of appreciation to Prof. Kamal. Next, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Razif Muhammad Ali for the next talk. His medical degree, he obtained a medical degree in National University of Ireland, FRCS from Royal College of Surgeons, Edinburgh. He has got 2 master's degrees, one in sports medicine and one in sports medicine and rehabilitation. He's currently the head of sports medicine unit in UM, and a consultant and associate professor in orthopedic surgery, and also consultant sports medicine specialist and associate professor in sports medicine. He's lecturing for the Bachelor in Sports Science program in UM, and also a subspecialty examiner in arthroscopic and sports surgery. He's going to give a talk on Through Grit and Grind, Have Faith in Oneself. Please welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much to Prof. Sarah and the NOCERAL committee. And I wish you all congratulations, the Master Ortho-NOCERAL who graduated. And actually, this talk is dedicated to especially for the Ortho-NOCERAL who are going through the master's course. And I would also extend this to the researchers, the staff of the Ortho department, and everybody works very hard to achieve an objective. Okay. I have great respect and appreciation for Prof. Cabarro for running the hospital, Prof. Emeritus Suraina, doing a lot of work, doing archaeology. So all the bits and pieces, all the effort, the time which is spent is all accountable and really highly appreciated. Now, through grit and the grind, I'm going to talk about something which we can't see, is the effort that we put in. And for the Ortho-MOs who have passed, can you please pass on to our good friends who are staying at home? And we wish them well. And as I like the way Prof. Vivek says, don't take it as a failure, just take it as a postponement. So tell them about the true grit that all the Ortho-MOs go through. Grit means the hard work that you put in. True, being very sincere about it. And the grind, the amount of effort you have to put in versus adversity. So have faith in yourself. Now I'm going to take a passage or an excerpt from a big speech which was presented by the former president. He was former president by then, Theodore Roosevelt. He was president of the USA from 1901 to 1909. And the whole speech is called The Citizenship in the Republic. And this speech was delivered in 1910 in the Sorbonne University in Paris, France. Now, Sorbonne is equivalent to the Oxford and Cambridge, Harvard in the other places. And I just have a bit of play as to talk about who is Teddy Roosevelt. That's the Sorbonne University emblem, and that's one of the facades of the Sorbonne University. Now, that excerpt or the passage is called The Man in the Arena, and that's taken from the whole big speech called The Citizenship of the Republic. Now, let me read to all the Ortho-MOs, staff researchers, and everybody who's working very hard. And I also highly appreciate Prof. Emeritus Suraina, Prof. Cameron. Everything that you do is highly accountable. Now, so the man in the arena. It is not the critic that counts. It is not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. So it doesn't matter who comments about you or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. And even you find somebody who can replace to do something better. Actually, the credit belongs to you. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, to the MO who's doing the hard work of job, being on call, doing the clinics, studying, and whose face is marked by the dust and sweat and blood. And he strives valiantly, and he errs. This is not the purring of the cat. Errs means it's part of the error. Who comes short again and again. He makes a mistake. He may make mistake repeatedly, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. And how would you know? And who does actually strive to do the deeds, and who knows great enthusiasms and great devotions. He has great sincerity in making this effort to achieve his objective. And he spends himself, or he and she, sorry, in a worthy cause, who at best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement. Okay, when he's successful, he achieves it. But who at worst, if he fails, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So he should give credit to himself, at least he tried, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Now, the man in the arena, I think you can guess it. It refers to the gladiator. And I think you would remember this story. You can see Russell Crowe as being the gladiator in that movie. And just to tell you about the story about this text of the man in the arena. If you look at this picture on the far side, you can see on the left, on your left is Nelson Mandela, and the man on the right is actually the captain of the World Cup in 1995, the rugby team called the Springboks of South Africa, and the name of the captain is Francois Pienaar. Now we're talking about big things. Now, Nelson Mandela is actually an African prince, and he qualified as a lawyer, but he fought for the rights of the blacks. And he's not actually small. He's actually 6'1". And you look at a man, therefore, it's something like our Simrat Singh size. It's about 6'4". It's huge. Now, the story was that to encourage the captain of the Springboks team, he actually gave the text of Teddy Roosevelt's Man of the Arena in the locker room for inspiration. But it was such a momentous, interesting point that Clint Eastwood, you can see this movie, I think nobody watches it, but it's called Invictus. I think Prof. Sarah would know too. Invictus in Latin means inconquerable. So the Hollywood sort of fictionalized that actually the poem, Invictus is actually the name of the poem, the Inconquerable, Invictus, to the captain. It was such an encouraging poem, yeah. So it was made into a movie, and you can see in place of Nelson Mandela was Morgan Freeman, and the other side is Matt Damon. And the book is, the movie is actually based on this book, written by an English South African called Playing the Enemy. Now, the captain of the Springboks and his teammates were so inspired that they actually won their first World Cup rugby in 1995 for South Africa. And this actually united the nation. And it's interesting that during the whole lifetime of Nelson Mandela, in the year 2007, South Africa won again for the second time. So it was a great thing for Nelson Mandela. So they asked him to pose with them for the photo. So, but actually, if you look at the footnote, when you look at the movie database, it says that Nelson Mandela did not actually give the poem Invictus, but he actually gave the text of Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Arena, which you saw was very inspiring. But anyway, since I mentioned the word Invictus, maybe I just mention briefly what it is. Yeah, the poem Invictus means unconquerable. It's actually composed by a man called William Ernest Henley, a Scottish. He lived in the late 19th century, and he was writing this poem in the year 1875, hoping that he can be treated for his right leg tuberculosis. He already had his left leg amputated in somewhere 1868. So because he also had tuberculosis in the right leg, so he asked the help of Joseph Lister, which I think some of you remember. He's the one who invented that smelly antiseptic called carbolic acid, one of the very first antiseptic, to try and treat his tuberculosis on his right side. So, and it was a success. So while waiting for the treatment, he saw the gloom and anxiety whether his right leg can be saved, but actually it was saved. He wrote this poem called Invictus. So let me read, and maybe for our auto-amos past, maybe you can please send this message by phone, send a text of it You can just Google up, just send it to our good friends who are staying at home, and send them The Man in the Arena, send them a poem about the Invictus. Just to read a little bit, out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. So that shows how much determination you would have. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. So no matter how big or how horrible adversity, you can do it. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. And this is the most famous part, the stanza of the poem. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Now this poem, when Nelson Mandela was in prison in a place called Robben's Island for 20 years, he was quite very inspired by this. Nelson Mandela gave this poem to the other prison inmates, as, of course, the ANC, the African National Congress, to inspire them not to give up the struggle for the blacks. So the theme of this poem has been used many times, and you can see it recurring in many situations. And both this poem and the Man Arena has been used for the business world, the hard and harsh realities of the business world, the sports world, or mountain climbing, or anything like that. Now, maybe we just play around a bit. Who was Teddy Roosevelt? Now, I know you might accuse me for being so much pro-American. I'm not so pro-American. Yeah, I do not. I want to make a statement here. I do not like Donald Trump. Okay, I do not like the big bully nature of big business. Big business means corporations and all those things. And the U.S. foreign policy is very, very unfair to many countries like the Middle East and somewhat biased. But I find this president very interesting. Now, it all started from this newspaper, the cartoon, in 1902. It's a very famous cartoon. You can see Teddy Roosevelt saying no, yeah, to the man who's got the teddy bear. I mean, it's not real. There is a real bear in the picture. Now, he was invited to go for a hunting trip in the state of Mississippi. So he willingly went because he wanted to support the newly elected governor, who's actually from the north. The state of Mississippi is in the south. So the state of Mississippi were crying for blood. They say they want to do everything what the Confederate States of America used to do. That they want to really hang and exterminate the black man. So he somehow or other he managed to wheel and deal his way around and managed to get a northerner to become the governor of the Mississippi. So in appreciation for that, the governor of the state of Mississippi invited him for a hunting trip. So they went in 1902. They went to hunt for bears, of course, and each team managed to find and shoot and kill a bear, all except Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah. What happened was the helpers, without telling him, they hammered the bear, put the bear in chain. They tied the bear to the tree, not quite what you see in this cartoon, and then announced to Teddy Roosevelt and said, "Here, we have a bear here. Perhaps since all the other teams have managed to get their bear to be killed, maybe you want to have a shot over here." But seeing the bear was in such a poor state, Teddy Roosevelt refused to use his gun to shoot the bear. So that's the basis of this cartoon. Yeah, the sequelae of this is that, of course, Teddy Bear refused to shoot the bear himself. He asked his accompanying team, maybe just kill the bear to put it out of misery. It's a mercy killing. So that's the basis of his name, Teddy. And if you look at this, that's the beginnings. This is one branch of story how the teddy bear appeared. But look at the teddy bear. How thin is it? It's emaciated. And we look at the teddy bear in the other photograph, you can see the girth of Teddy Roosevelt. But compared to the teddy bear holding was still thin. Okay, that's the thing, that's the most popular thing to remember about Teddy Roosevelt. Now, I think most of you have not heard about Teddy Roosevelt except for the Teddy Bear Association. But all of you actually have heard about Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was the American president in the Second World War. So the connection is that they are fifth cousins. And as you can see, they sort of live within time for each other. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt was actually the 32nd president. And that's when he was older. And you see the lady is sitting next to FDR, as is popularly known, is his wife, Eleanor, who is really also very famous as well. She fought for women's rights and women's welfare. And as you can see here, here's the branch. That's Teddy Roosevelt over here, one side. And here's Franklin Roosevelt. And actually, they say that they're connected to each other is because of Eleanor, the wife. Anna Eleanor, that's her full name. Now, Franklin Delano Roosevelt led the USA through difficult times. The 1930s was a time of the Depression, and he thought of the common man. And he also led USA to go through the Second World War. But he's quite a complex character, actually. Now, apart from his wife, he's got other women as well. So I just want to show you the whole side of him. And that's one other woman. Missy Lehane is the most famous. And the other one is Lucy Mercer. That's two. Yeah. You want to call that mistress, it's up to you. Dorothy Schiff, the New York Post editor, and some princess from Sweden, some Princess Margaret. So he's quite a complex character, actually. So in spite of him being on a wheelchair, he's got so many ladies to juggle with. Now, what I remember best about Teddy Roosevelt was the picture above that is about cigarettes. The Rough Rider, if you see that picture of a man on a horse with a gun, that's him, and he's called the Rough Rider. And he's very proud of it. And Teddy Roosevelt was actually quite a sickly child when he was small, so he decided to overcome his disability by becoming sort of a man of action, and this is one of them. And he participated in the Spanish-American War in 1898, and it's called the San Juan Hill, and that's what the man on a horse, him mounted on a horse, leading the charge, and sort of the liberated Cuba from Spain. And there have been caricatures of him. I think you remember this movie, The Night at the Museum. That's Robin Williams. And Robin Williams on a horse representing Teddy Roosevelt, the museum with Ben Stiller. And the teddy bear is taken far or wide. You remember this obscene movie, Ted? I don't think it's shown in Malaysia. It's got so many four-letter words. And one of the few teddy bears spent time with call girls. Yeah. That's him singing song against the thunderstorm. And the other teddy bear, which you can think of, is the Paddington Bear. Yeah, he's more prudish and less obscene than Ted. Now, I just mentioned one thing which I appreciate about Teddy Roosevelt is that he was known as the trust buster, and he wanted every American to have the chance. And he was actually fighting against the big business in the USA. So the problem with big business is that they monopolize. So even if you open a shop, if you have a new product, the big business will just buy you up. And it's something about what I call the Congress Act called the Sherman Antitrust Act, which was in 1890. But then when he became president, he activated it. He broke it up. He broke up companies like Standard Oil Company, the American Tobacco Company, so that other companies would have a chance to compete in a big business. You remember Microsoft? It has a problem of a monopoly. So now it no longer enjoys its monopoly system. And this Teddy Roosevelt's policies and all the presidents, successive presidents afterward, recognize the importance of having competition. And J.P. Morgan's organization was broken up during his lifetime. Andrew Carnegie and one notorious man called David Rockefeller. And as you can see, he's been accused of going against the interests of the U.S., conspiring with others, integrated, and he says, if that is the charge, I stand guilty and I'm very proud of it. So he justifies his own greed. Coming to the last part, now he places importance about the effort that you make, and the sacrifice, the tears, the toil that you do. The only man who never makes mistakes is the man who never does anything. So he recognizes that. Maybe a small parallel, he also made this quote. I wonder where does it echo to these modern times. A typical vice of American politics is the avoidance of saying anything real on real issues. Does it remind you of anything of today? So I end my talk today. I hope it will raise the spirits and make you realize that everything that you fight, everything that you think of, whatever effort, it's all well worth it. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Razif, for such an interesting talk. I would like to invite Prof. Sarah to present a token of appreciation to Prof. Razif. Okay, next I would like to invite Dr. Vaikantan Rajaratnam to present the next speech. He's a senior consultant hand surgeon at Khoo Teck Puat Alexandra Health Singapore Hospital. He obtained his medical degree in UNC Malaya in 1980. He obtained FRCS Edinburgh and Glasgow in 1984. He also has a master's in business administration from University of Rushmore, USA in 2001, European Diploma in Hand Surgery 2004, and is actually a visiting consultant in Tan Tock Seng Hospital, Singapore right now. He's also examiner for MRCS Edinburgh and a senior clinical examiner for the MABS as well. So he's going to be giving a talk on taking microsurgery training to where it is needed. Please welcome Dr. Vaikantan.
This is the. Good morning. It's nice to be back. This is the original clinical auditorium. It's different. It's always in the back row. MBBS, is it? Medical Backbencher Society. It looks nice. I think Kamarul has gone off. One thing they should learn, I got lost. I spent 20 minutes to get here. I asked 2 staff how to get here, and they really didn't bother. And I think it's the soft skills that make things better. So one just said, "Pergi lah sana," and the other one said, "Dekat belakang itu." And it's not nice. Anyway, it's good to be here. Thanks, Prof. Sarah, for the invitation. I won't talk too much. I'm just going to go through a little bit of journey for the young guys. It's great to. I love to teach because the best way to keep yourself young is to mix with young people. So I avoid mixing elderly people. So for those who are graduating, that's my school, Pasar Road English School 2, primary school, 1969. Position in class. So I went home, my mother asked me, "What's this?" I said, "I got full marks for position." She gave me an apple, but my father came back and walloped me. So not that I've got any better, but not bad. After a few years, I've still managed to con people to believe what I do. So that's class of 75, 80. This is one of my colleagues who's a urologist now. After 40 years, I meet him in the hospital. We work together in the same hospital. That's the good-looking guy there. I did have hair some time ago. Just to share with you my journey, and as the young masters enter into a postgraduate life, you have 4 decades of being reasonably useful.